Hey everybody, it's Tim at Rat Daddy Studios. Just a quick video to show you one of the pieces I've finished. I've got two other pieces almost done, but I decided to just go ahead and show you these one at a time and keep it short rather than some long drawn out video. But what I brought, I'm here at the shop, and what I brought today is these garage resin kits, which I finished and I have together here. This is Herman Munster and Grandpa Munster. Grandpa Munster is actually, in reality, George Barris. He's got Barris's face with Grandpa Munster's hair and clothing, and of course in the Dragula. These are really cool. This was sculpted by Jerry Petrie. Jerry was a big enthusiast of show rods and customs and stuff like this, and Jerry passed away, I believe, in 2010. I never got to know him, unfortunately. I had actually seen this sculpt in some pictures at George Barris's shop. There was one of these sitting on his desk, and I don't think it was painted up or anything. Herman, I'm not sure if Jerry did this or not, or his partner. He had a partner that did the resin casting with him, and he may have come up with this one. I think that's who I bought this from off of eBay. And I bought this, I think, during COVID. Now, this one, Chuck Darnell and I had gotten permission. I had made contact with one of Jerry Petrie's daughters, super nice family. I also talked to his sister, and I got permission to recast the race kit, which is pretty famous. It was done off some Ed Roth artwork, was approved by Ed many years ago, and very rare resin kits. But we had gotten permission to recast the race kit, and then we did this one as well. I didn't do it. Chuck did it. Chuck is a master caster. We had borrowed this from a good friend in Texas that we had met. His name is Robert Day, who had several of Jerry's original kits, still unbuilt, perfect, mint, and Jerry even made his own boxes for some of this stuff, and they were all new in the bags with Jerry's signature on them. So he actually loaned this to us, and Chuck remastered the molds, and here it is. So these are not real common. This one, I think Jerry's partner is still producing. I'm not sure. They do turn up on eBay once in a while. But I had never seen the Barris kit ever. But at any rate, they're really cool. And I had a good time with them. They do take some work. They're not easy to build. They fit together surprisingly well for what they are, but they're not super detailed, but they're good enough. I mean, you get the idea. I mean, they look like what they're supposed to, and they're cartooned a bit. You can see the the lights are kind of twisted, and of course the chassis are twisted, and everything's a little deformed, but that's the way it's supposed to look. The Barris figure was a little tougher to get in there. Herman went together really easy. The Barris, the cape was the issue with the Barris thing. The cape really got in the way of getting his head to fit properly. Had to turn his head a little bit and wangle his hand in there, and then the shifter was in the way. So that took a bit of wangling on that one, but I got it all together, and I'm happy with it. And I'll show you the back of it. Herman's jacket there. I lettered that up where it says Herman's Speed Shop. Herman's Dragula I did in Orion Silver base coat, and which is a metal flake base coat, super fine metal flake base coat, and I trimmed it by hand in copper, and that's just some Model Master copper, and did a little bit of details and did the headlights in copper. I had clear coated this with a little bit of some super fine micro flake, rainbow flake. Can't really tell much here, but in the sun it really pops. Everything else, both of these figures were all done with auto air paint, which is Createx. Now it's all called Wicked Colors, but I still have tons of auto air that I have gathered up over the years, which I use, which goes on flat, and then all the figures themselves, I always spray everything. I use the Tamiya flat clear lacquer to go over everything. So because really the auto air and Wicked paints, they dry flat and they scratch and are damaged very easily without being clear coated. So I did that. I also went in there on the figures. You can see Grandpa's hair and in his face. I used the Tamiya pastels to do his hair, some highlights on his face. Same with Herman. I went in with just a little bit of greens and stuff just around his facial features, just to kind of bring him out a little bit more. And the same with Barris. Did the same with him. George, I did some stones in the eyes of the shifter, you can see, and kind of hard to see the little metal attachments. I put little stones in there on his cape and also on the pendant around his neck. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if that's showing up or not. But I did some little rhinestones in there on him. This car was painted with House of Colors Solar Gold base coat, and then I shot it with clear, and the clear or the flake in this one is a Roth color. It's called Acid Trip. It's got a lot more greens and orange in it, so I did that. I had a little Barris Crest decal that I found in my stash. That's a little Tom Daniel tarantula, some of those that I had printed years ago, so I put that on there. Didn't decal them up a whole lot, just did the moon tank on this one. And I hand painted, Dragula on that one and Barris on this one. But you kind of get the idea. But this was what I had in mind for these the whole time, was to have the two of them racing. And it kind of worked out good that I had to cock Barris's head, because it kind of looks like he's glancing over to see where Herman's at. Herman's just back there cracking up. And it looks like, the way the wheels are kind of deformed, and it looks like he's getting ready to cut him off. And, of course, it's got these big spikes sticking out of the rims in front and back, like he'd pop his tires on the way by. That's one of the other subtle differences on these. The spikes aren't as pointy and pronounced on Herman's. The moon tanks are different on both the cars. Everything else is pretty much the same as far as the headers, your intake scoops and the motors. Very, very basic stuff. And this one, of course, I trimmed out in silver just to kind of make them pop. So I'm pretty happy with it overall. I did use my Tamiya pastels on the tires. Used a little white in there, put some streaks around them, you can see, just to kind of give them that little bit of motion, a little bit of like they're burning out, getting a little smoke on the tires. I thought about maybe coming in here with maybe some white cotton batting and doing it behind them, but I decided not to. I'm just going to leave it as it is. I might put like a white stripe down the middle of my plexi base. These are mounted permanently to this plexi base. Again, I used the Permatex 82180 black gasket maker material, and I put that under the back tires and cemented them to this plexiglass base. So they're not going anywhere. They break easy. I've knocked the headers off the Barris car a half a dozen times in the process of putting this together. And you get caught on everything. You can just catch your hand on it and break stuff loose. So I've knocked parts off, and I thought it's just best glue them down to this and be done with it. And that's the way they're going to stay. So for the display. So anyway, that's Grandpa George Barris and Herman Munster and their Dragulas. And I'll have another update. I'm probably going to wait a day or two. I've got some final details I'm doing on the one that I call Frankenstein Jr., which I showed you also on my last video, which is an Andy Cope sculpt in the big die-cast Willies. That one's almost done. I got to go in and do a little cleanup and detail on that one. I have pretty much finished the 1/16 scale chicken coop dragster, which I really love. That's the 3D printed dragster. Just some fine details and cleanup on that one as well, so I'll be showing you that. The guy that did that is doing Ed Roth's Yellow Fang dragster. I don't know if all of you are familiar with that. If you're a Roth fan, you are, or a drag fan, you may know the car too. That was driven by the Bushmaster. And that car is in the Don Garlich's museum up in Ocala. I saw it when it still had the Bushmaster paint on it about 20 years ago, but in that time the car's been restored and they did put it back to the Yellow Fang version, which is really cool. So it's properly painted, lettered again. But anyway, the fella that, there's some guys in Canada, Frankie's Hobbies, that are doing these 3D printed kits, and he has done the Yellow Fang, which is just awesome. I've seen some scratch builds of it over the years. Very hard to scratch build. And there's some really good ones out there. Tommy Moore did one a couple of years ago. It looks great. But this is all 3D printed. They spent a lot of time and research. They were ready to release this about 2 months ago, and they realized there was a few errors in the body and stuff, so they contacted all of us that had ordered these and prepaid for them and said, you know, if you want your money back, you can get it. If you want to wait, we're going to make sure everything's perfect. So I would say most of us waited because it's a kit we've all wanted for a long time, and it's finished, and they did a wonderful job on it. I mean, it looks, I can't wait to get my hands on it. I got one. You can get it in 1/24 scale or 1/16. I've got the 1/16 scale coming. My buddy Chuck went way big. They did a 1/8 scale. It's the only one. They did an 8 scale for him. It is huge. I mean, huge. It's so awesome. They had a hell of a time shipping it. It's supposed to be there next week. I can't wait till he gets it to see this thing. But I did see the pictures of it before they shipped it. They put it next to the 1/24 scale, and it is unbelievable how big this thing is going to be. Really going to be one of the centerpieces of his collection. So can't wait. I will definitely try to get some footage of it from him so I can pass it along and let you guys see it. But I'll show you mine when I get it, when I get the kit in, because I'm definitely going to dive into that one as soon as I can. But anyway, that's my update for now. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate all the nice comments from you guys. I still got shop cards. I put up that little short. If you want a shop card, get a hold of me. I'd be glad to send you one anytime. And hopefully the weather's going to break here soon. It's been hotter than hell, hard to paint. I'm wanting to get back into the Ratfink hydroplane. So that needs a couple more coats of clear to kind of button it up, and I'll be ready to get back on that. I just ordered some more really cool pieces, some flames for to come out of the headers, which I hope fit properly. So that's going on too, and some other things upcoming. But stay tuned, and I will talk to you again really soon. Hope you're all building. Stay safe, and I will see you soon. Thank you.